everybody. This right here is a 30-gallon electric water heater. It's 240 volts. Now, everybody's got one of these in their house. Some of them's gas, some of them's bigger, some of them smaller. This is 30 gallon. There's 55 gallon. Most common ones are 50 gallon, something like that. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the components of the water heater. And if you look on the diagram up here, you've got the cold water valve. The cold water, it feeds in right here. If you look to the left, I'll go over here and show you. This is called a fill tube. See this tube right here? What that does, your cold water comes in and it forces the cold water to the bottom of the heater. If your water come in the top of the heater, it would just chill the water. It would just kill it. What it does, the water comes down here, forces the hot water out, and it comes out to your house. This rod right here is for anode rod. That is for corrosion. You can't see that, but it's in there. It's for corrosion, catches electric and stuff, and catches on there, and that keeps you corrosion. You've got a pop-off valve, a relief valve, which is this right here. This is the safety device. You've got your elements, and you got your thermostats. And your elements, it does the heating, and your thermostat controls the heat. So if you're at home and you take a shower, your husband and your kids take a shower, and you go get in there, and you all of a sudden I've got cold water. Ladies just been in there just a few minutes. You might possibly have a problem. So you might have an element that's burnt out. So the way you can do that is, first thing you want to do, most houses have got a disconnect right here in the utility room or wherever it is. If it's not there, it's in the panel, out in the electrical panel. So what you do is find out which one. They get you one of these little testers. Okay, this is going to show that it's on, but it's not on. I've got 100. I've got 200. I've got 110 on this leg, and I've got 110 on this leg. That makes 240 volts. I'll go outside and I'll cut the power off. I'm gonna take this cover off of here. Get you a 6-in-1 screwdriver. It's got straight, Phillips, 1/4-inch drive, and 5/16 drive, nut driver on it. Handy. Take this off. Make sure the power's off. Take your little tester. No power. Pull these little wires off here. And you will take this little plastic cover up. Just keeps them, keep you get your hand in there. Set it to the side. Turn the power back on. You've got wires right here in the top of this heater. You want to take this little tester and touch. If it comes on, I've got power. Do the other side. If it comes on, I've got power. That's good. Okay, next thing you want to do, here at the bottom, this is the element. This is the thing that screws into, this is the heating element. There's 2 wires goes down to it. Take your tester, check it. That one side's in. Let's just say it's not on, okay? This little red button right here. This is just on the top thermostat. This is called a high limit switch. If your water heater gets too hot, this will trip. It's a safety device. Take your finger or your tester, push this limit, make sure the power's back off, turn it back on, push this in. If it clicks, you turn it on, turn the power back on. Oops, I've got power. My water heater's heating. I wonder why that went off. Okay, that could be a red flag, one red flag. It could be you could get lightning running on this and it would trip. That would be an easy fix. Your water heater might be fine. Again, the thermostat could be stuck. If your water is getting real hot, you need to check that. You need to have these replaced. If you go down here and you find out that the element is bad, and I'll show you how to do that. Take a continuity checker. Continuity checker shows that it's making a circuit. See that little light come on? You put it on one side of the screw to the other side of the screw. And if it comes on, You take these wires off first, I'm sorry. Take these wires off, I'll take them off for you. Make sure the power is back off. Take these two wires off your element. And the power is still off. I'm gonna use a different one. This one makes a beeping noise. But it's the same thing, it's a continuity checker. Put it here, to here. You can hear the beep, I hear it. But if you don't hear the beep, it means the element is burning too. What you need to do then is completely drain this water heater. Cut the power off, the power's still off. Put a water hose on here, this is your drain. Open this drain up with the water still on, just for a second. What that does, if there's any debris settling in here, the water pressure will blow it out the water hose. Once it starts draining, this is a ball valve. You turn this ball valve 1/4 of a turn, it's off. Go in the house, open up something on the hot water. Open up the kitchen sink or something that gives this air. Gives it about 15, 20, 30 minutes to drain. When it's totally drained, and you know it's drained, you go to Home Depot or somewhere and you buy this element wrench. This wrench is an inch and a half. You can use an 1.5 inch socket, or you can buy an element wrench. We just bought this right here. It fits right on here like this, okay? Take your wires loose. Sometimes these can be tough. And if you can't get it out with an element wrench, you can take a chisel, a hammer, and just tap it, or spray some WD-40 or some liquid wrench or something on there, let it set. Put you something pretty sturdy on there, because you want to get on this pretty hard. Sometimes they come out real easy, and sometimes they're hard to get out. They just turn out. Left hand thread, right hand thread. And just unscrew. Pull it out, and you'll see it's all corroded. It'll be burnt up and bent and everything else. On this water heater element, it says 240 volts, 3,500 watt element. So take this to the Home Depot and say, I need a new element for my water heater. Hand this to them. They'll give you this is about $10, $12, $15 at the most. Got a new element. Get home, put you some grease, Vaseline or something. There's a little gasket. See this little gasket right here? A little gasket fits up there. That's what seals it. Make sure it's straight. Put it on there. Screw it back in your heater. I can get it in there. Don't have to be super tight, just snug. Hook your wires back up, or before you know it's brand new. You don't need to test it. It's brand new. Hook your wires back up. Turn your valve off that's on your water hose going out to the house. Unscrew it, just tighten it back up. Leave a hot water valve on in somewhere in the house, because this is empty. When you fill it full of water, it's full of air. The air's got to be, has to be purged. Open this hot water valve up slowly, then all the way. You'll hear your spigot in there spitting and sputtering and going on. Don't be alarmed. Just let it fill up, and then it'll eventually the water will come out. Once it come out, come here and check for leaks. If you have no leaks, turn the power back on. You should be good to go. You should have plenty of hot water there. These new water heaters come from the factory 100, 125 degrees. They do that because people get scalded, kids, whatever. I think it's too cold. If your water heater's in the garage and you've got to go all the way to the end of the house. By the time that water gets there, it's cool. If you don't have any little kids or anything in your house that's afraid to get scalded, you can turn this up, this thermostat. This thermostat on this one says hot and very hot. It's usually set on about hot. You take a straight bladed screwdriver with the power off, okay? Make sure the power's off. You've got one here and one here. I'm gonna take this other one out too. You want them to correspond with this. You want the same temperature on both elements, both thermostats. So you just take it, turn it till you hear it, it'll click. This thing has got it senses the heat, and this thing, it cuts it off with electricity. There's a little, I forget what you call that in there, but that's what controls the heat, okay? It'll click, you'll hear it click. Well, these are cold, it won't click. Do both of them the same way, your water heater should be heating up. You'd be plenty of hot water then. Button it all back together, put your covers back on it, like I did, put these back on, make sure your power's off. Put your cover back on it, tighten your screws up, you should be good to go. I've got another safety device I'm gonna talk about a little bit right here. This is called a pop-off valve, a pressure relief valve. What this does, this is a safety device. There's two safety devices in here. One of them is on this high limit switch that's on this red button right here. This right here is important too, very important. If you see water coming out of this, dripping in the pan, you've either got, this could be just bad. And sometimes just replacing them will fix the problem. You have to cut the water off again, drain it. If you're real quick, you can do it. If it's in the garage where it's not going to hurt anything, you can just turn the water off, relieve the pressure, unscrew this, screw another one in there. You won't lose a cup full of water. But if it's in a finished area, you'll need to drain it down to this far so the water will come out of this. If you put a new one on, there so later, it's still dripping. I've seen these plugs. People put a plug in them. That's not good to do. You've got maybe two problems. You could be at high heat, okay, and you check your water, you think, well, my water it's not scalding, okay? If your water's scalding hot, it's burning you, you've got a thermostat sticking. You need to replace either one of them, both of them. I'd replace both of them to be safe. But if that's not the problem, and your water's not real scalding, but this is still dripping, you probably got a pressure trouble. Out your main street, KUB or whoever your utility company is, has got 150 to 200, some of them's 150 to 200 pounds PSI. That's pressure per square inch on this, okay? And your house has got this on there. This is called a pressure reducing valve. What that does is reduces it down to street pressure to where you can manage your pressure at your house. It's usually 60 PSI, 50 to 60 PSI is coming in your house. If you think you've got a problem with your pressure, you go to Lowe's, Home Depot. This is a Watts. It's got a little telltale gauge on there. You see that right there? Screw this on your hose connection somewhere. You can sit on your wash machine or outside and just check your pressure. If your pressure is 90 pounds or 80 pounds, during the day, it's too much. Most of the time, this thing's bad, okay? But at night, when everybody goes to bed, and this thing's heating, see, this thing expands because it's heating. At night, when everybody quits using water, this thing will really go up, okay? And that'll cause it. And it don't take much water to relieve the pressure. It'll just drip a little bit, but that's enough to relieve the pressure to tell you, give you a warning sign that you've got a problem. You can leave this on there all night. And this little red gauge, see that little red gauge? That'll tell you how high it got during the night. Leave it on there all night. You can change those. But that's just a couple of safety things that I need to go over. And you can look on the water, on this, on the relief valve. It tells you on this, and here is set for 125 PSI. So if your water pressure gets over 125 PSI, this thing's going to expel to the atmosphere. And it's got the temperature on it too. The temperature is 210 degrees. So 210 degrees, if it had 50 pounds of pressure, it's gonna blow at 210 degrees. So that's the safety valve. That's about everything I know about this. Anything else? That should cover it. I'm gonna say one more thing about these valves. You might have two different type of valves. You might have a ball valve like this. This ball valve, what it does, there's a ball in there, and it turns 1/4 of a turn. That cuts the water off. It just turns 1/4 and it's off. This is a gate valve. This is like a dam. When you turn it, it shuts, it's got a gate in here, it goes down just like this. Can you see me turning it? It takes a lot more turning to turn the water off. These are the old type valves. And they're bad about leaking through because people will cut them off and debris gets in the wedge where the dam goes in, and it hangs and the water leaks through. These are good valves. They won't leak. They won't, very, very rarely do I see one leak through. These are the old type they used to put on. We still use them, but with steam and stuff, but ball valves was the way to go. If you have any questions, we'll talk to you after the thing. Thank you a lot.